Alright, what's going on, y'all? sTaTTicx here. So today's video, I wanted to make a more proper combat guide. So let's actually get into settings really quickly. So for controller settings, I do not like the hold to sprint feature. The thing that it does is it really does mess it up whenever you go into stealth mode. So let me demonstrate for you guys. When you have it on hold, basically you can let go, you can move freely, you can roll, you can do all that, but the minute you get into stealth mode, you have to immediately start holding it, and that timing is going to be weird for a lot of different people. And I don't know, this just doesn't really work that well, because especially you have to like start tapping it and then you can start sprinting again. It really does mess up your muscle memory, and it just doesn't work that well. So just play on tap to sprint. It's easier. Standard FPS 2 uses your right bumper to move anyways. My sensitivity is reasonably high. A lot of people will ask why it's that high. If you play on a slow sensitivity, it is really hard to look around. I can look around, I can see around a lot more third person, but if I have a gun out, then I can't really turn to see the enemy like right behind me, and I have control freaks too. So you definitely want to have your sensitivity higher. So you have, can these NPCs just shut up? No, the aiming and look around sensitivities are going to be just the exact same. For some people, it may be hard to snipe with the sensitivity. Maybe just go like 1 or 2 down, or just get adjusted to it. After a while, it's gonna become really easy to just snipe and do all that stuff with it. Dead zones, keep these lower so you don't have to push your stick that much just to move. And look acceleration, what happens if you have these low is that you won't be able to look as freely. Audio, I just have my sound effects all the way up so you can hear stuff around you. Music volume, if you like listening to the radio. Output, I have not noticed anything really different with this when I played with headphones. I mean, you could definitely have it on surround, but GTA's audio sounds pretty much the same regardless of what output you have it set to. Camera settings, this one's a lot more important. Allow independent camera modes. Basically what this does is when you're like in a vehicle and you're in third person, when you hop out of the car, you're going to be in first person. I'd leave that off. So when you have it on low, it looks a little something like this. This is what most people are used to when they play the game. If you press your touchpad or your options button, like the 2 squares button on Xbox, you can look around a lot further. You always want to have this when you're playing a third person. When you put that to high, look how much of a difference this makes. You can see it's a lot more higher. And this just looks a lot better. You can see a little bit more stuff around. First person auto level camera. Basically readjust the camera whenever you are looking like high up in a building. So let's just say someone's camping at the top of like a building. Leave this off. It's really not a good setting to have on. First person on foot field of view. I feel like everybody knows what happens when you change your FOV. Basically you can see a lot more around you. But let me turn this down. You can barely see anything. Your weapon is a lot more closer to you. But if you go to settings and you turn this all the way up, I think this will be on a lower one by default. It won't be like all the way down here, but turn it all the way up and you'll be able to see a little bit more around you. This just looks a lot better. First person ragdoll. What this will do is you'll have that ragdoll effect. So it'll be falling and it'll be all in first person, like straight through your character's eyes. That is not good to have, especially if you're going to be fighting people. Leave that off. First person combat roll. When I go to roll, I won't be able to see anything around me. If you turn this off, you will roll in third person when you are in first person, meaning you can see people around you. So if I have my MG out and I roll, boom, that guy right there is dead, that guy there is dead. Some kid running around the corner hiding is dead, pretty much. So you're at more of a disadvantage if you use all of these like first person settings. They may look cool, but they really give a lot more of a disadvantage. First person head bobbing, if you're on last gen, please turn this off. Or if you're on console in general, please turn this off. When you're playing in 20+ player lobbies and you have this on, your game will be so like a bit more shaky and you'll be having a hard time kind of like looking around. I really do not like this setting. Please turn it off. First person, third person cover. So basically when you're in first person and you go and duck behind cover, in this case I'm playing standard FPS 2, so if I press square, you'll be in third person. Now this is really useful especially when I do my famous grenade launcher trick. That trick, I'll get into that in a second on how to do it. For display settings, leave your crosshair on simple. When you have it on complex, you get this like crosshair thing. I don't like when you aim, your crosshair is a little bit more bigger. Personally, I really do not like that. It might be a bit of like a placebo, but I feel like I have a harder time actually aiming with it. When you have it on simple, it's just the normal dot. This makes it a lot more easier to actually aim on your targets and actually see if you're lining up for the headshot correctly. These settings really don't do that much besides in-game depth of field effects and screen kill effects. In-game depth of field is really not a good setting to have when you're sniping, especially on console where the visual isn't really that great and the rendering can also suck. So let me demonstrate depth of field. Get one finger and point it in front of your screen and stare at your finger. The rest of everything else around you will be blurred except the finger that you're staring at. That's basically how depth of field works. And if you're constantly getting into situations where it's 2v1s or 3v1s or whatever, if you need to focus on multiple targets, that's not a good setting to have on, so you want to have it off. Screen kill effects really does not do much. It really doesn't add anything. All it just does is like it lets you know if you've like got the kill. The rest of these settings are just personal preference. So now that we're done with settings, let's actually get into actual loadouts with your guns. So right now I'm gonna have my weapon wheel out. These are the 4 ARs that I use personally. The Special Carbine Mark II with these attachments up on screen. The military rifle, I feel like this has a little bit more recoil than the Special Carbine. So the heavy rifle isn't really that bad. It's pretty good. Every gun is good if you can hit headshots with it. The one gun you should avoid in this game is the AK. That's like the worst AR you can use in this game. I don't really use it that often. It's either the Special Carbine or the Combat MG. If you want to hide specific guns, make sure you have an MC clubhouse or a nightclub or any other building that has this. Go to your inventory and go over to custom weapon loadout. You will have to set it up at your specific property. For LMGs, I have just the Combat MG Mark II. I feel like this is more of a placebo again with this one, but I feel like I have more fire rate. And then the Unholy Hellbringer, it's an okay, I guess. For pistols, I just use the AP pistol and the Up and Atomizer, which a little exploit you can do with this is you can actually spam fire it, just like a lot of guns in this game. It's simple as spamming rockets. So if you go and switch from your grenade launcher to your stickies or your throwables, it will instantly reload your gun. So I'll shoot my shotgun, switch to stickies, instantly is reloaded. Oh, I forgot to mention, you can do the same thing with the musket. If you shoot the musket and then switch to stickies, you can still shoot it. Throwables, you just need sticky bombs. In some situations, you can use the proximity mines, and those are the only ones you really need. For explosives, we have the regular RPG. This one shoots slower compared to the homing launcher, but the homing launcher does less damage than the RPG. In most cases, you'll see people using the homing launcher, although it does have less rockets. It's just a lot faster and easier to kind of EWO and just overall get players at longer ranges. The railgun is also a good option if you are precise. The Widowmaker is another option. I just don't think this is really useful. Unless you're really close to the jet on the ground, then use it. Other than that, just don't. For shotguns, there really isn't too many shotguns you need. The only one is the Pump Shotgun Mark II with the explosive rounds. You don't need many melee weapons. And then for snipers, you just need the Heavy Sniper Mark II. Now, a lot of people say that the heavy barrel and the muzzle brake make it a one-shot. The one thing that does make your gun a one-shot is BST and laggy internet. Now, the reason why I say laggy internet is because if you know anything about connection and how the way GTA servers work, essentially GTA is a peer-to-peer connection game, meaning you connect to another player's session. You connect to their host. So another player hosts the game and you're connecting to that player, which leads to a lot of issues. What that means is if you're on really laggy internet, whenever you shoot somebody, you will do more damage with your guns and you will be able to do essentially one-shots with the heavy sniper regardless of level. The other thing with one-shots in the heavy sniper is if a player is below level 100, or actually the more accurate level is once you're level 99, that's when you become pretty much two-shot to heavy snipers. But if you have laggy internet, you're going to be able to one-shot pretty easily and you'll get one-shot a lot. And the second one is the marksman rifle. Now there is a trick that you can do with this. You can put the holographic sight on it, meaning you can use it close range and just kind of lock onto players. Personally, I tried it. I really do not like it. It's not that great. I've never seen anybody use the holographic scope on the marksman rifle, but these are the only attachments you need. I'm not going to sit there and read out every single one. So now that we're done with actual weapon loadout, let's get into some tips that you guys can use for PvP. One of the main important things about GTA is that this is one of the few games where obviously headshots are very important. So I'm going to teach you guys a trick to easily get the upper hand and deal more damage to players very quickly. So this works better if you're on BST and you're going up against another player, even if they're using a bulletproof helmet, which is one of the things that I'm wearing right now that reduces the headshots. This does not make you immune to one-shots, however, but they reduce the amount of damage. So what you're gonna do is when you aim, you're automatically aiming at chest. What you're gonna do is kind of flick up your stick a little bit and go for the head. You gotta do this really quickly, but with a lot of guns, it's very, very effective to just kind of flick up and aim for the head. This will take a lot of time and practice, however, so just really practice it. But once you get those one-shots off, you're going to be killing players a lot more faster. The other thing that I forgot to mention is, in regards to BST, when you're in a CEO, I'm not sure if this is fully confirmed. I've had this happen to me on very rare occasions. Whenever you are hiding behind cover and you have just armor, right? If you go to your CEO, you can obviously request armor. This is one of the things I see very select tryhards using. Basically, you pretty much take you're pretty much a 3-shot, I think, to the heavy sniper. Anyways, what was going on about the grenade launcher was, I remember one time I was around the corner and the grenade was like right here, and I didn't die from that grenade, and I had full armor. Either armor helps when you're around cover, or I really don't know. Even when you throw a sticky bomb, there are some times where you are like immune to that sticky bomb for some reason. I'm not sure if it works every single time, but I've had it happen to me on numerous occasions. I was not recording. So that's one of the tips. Earlier I told you guys to not use the hold to sprint. The reason why I say tap to sprint is because you basically should be sprinting at all times. This is one of the most important things in this game, because whenever I fight people, I see most of them just walking like this. Like they'd be sprinting and sprinting and sprinting, and then they just go and they aim like this. They move really slow, they're easy targets to hit, they're really not that difficult, right? But when you're holding down your sprint button, whatever one it is, you can move around a lot faster. Make sure you are also using the left stick in whatever your crouch button is, so you can go down, enter stealth mode. Basically, you're a lot more of a harder target to hit when you are in stealth mode. The trick with the grenade launcher that I don't know if I've shown in a lot of videos or any video I've posted on my channel, I think I've shown this at least a couple times. It only works on specific parts of the map. What this really does work well on is these like 90-degree angles right here, where you can easily like shoot around cover, you know, like how you go like that. What you're gonna do is just tap your trigger. Make sure you're looking around the corner. I've had numerous people accuse me of cheating or hacking because of this, and it is pretty funny. It does shoot a lot faster on next gen, keep in mind, so last gen isn't gonna look as like really fast, but trust me when I tell you, you shoot a lot of grenades very quickly. It's good for like when you're up against a whole CEO or against multiple people. This is really effective to do that. A couple other tricks I wanted to kind of mention is if you want to be like laser accurate with rockets, or pretty precise with where you shoot your rockets, if you pull out your heavy sniper, continue to hold down your left trigger, switch over to your homing launcher, and just shoot. This will take some practice, but you'll be pretty much spot on with wherever you shoot your rockets. So if you're in a sniper battle and someone's playing cheap, they're like right here, you're sniping at them, you can't really hit them, what you can do is switch to the rockets really quickly and get them. Obviously, everything here is going to take a lot of practice, but once you get used to it, it is so much easier than just sitting there trying to snipe at somebody. The other thing you could do, I'm not sure if most people would usually do this, but some people can also finish off with the marksman rifle, and especially when you're on BST, it's a slightly more effective way to finish off that kill rather than using a rocket, because most people end up choking, they don't get the right timing off, or the input lag is really bad, so it's hard to pull out that rocket and actually shoot. So people do end up forgetting on accident pretty much. So it is easier to actually just finish off with the marksman rifle. That is one way to just be pretty much accurate with rockets as a whole. Oh, I wanted to mention that I see a lot of people doing this. Basically, when you're in first person, you move really quickly side to side. When you're in third person, you really can't move side to side that quickly, and you just have less movement. Personally, what I would really recommend is when you're in combat like situations, use guns like the Combat MG in first person. You have a lot less like recoil for some reason whenever you do it, and personally I find it a lot easier because you're able to just kind of like strafe and move around a lot easier, and it just feels better this way to do it. I don't see a lot of people fighting in first person enough. So for anybody who is still playing mostly third person, please start playing first. It's really going to improve the way you play the game and allow you to spam rockets a lot more easier. Which, again, speaking of rockets and atomizer spam, make sure you are doing all of these spam tricks in first person. The grenade launcher exploit is the one that works better in third person, I would say. I don't know if that would work in first person if you didn't have that specific setting on, but yeah, that is the one exclusive setting, or the one that doesn't apply to the part where I say you need to spam rockets and stuff, only in first person. If you need to actually teleport away from a player for whatever reason and you don't have RC Bandito or anything like that, you need to make sure that you go into your apartment and start up the Fleeka heist or the prison break. Whenever you start a Fleeka heist and you don't finish it, Lester will send you an invite to your apartment that allows you to go ahead and recontinue it. So basically you can teleport to your apartment, and this applies with like facilities as well, and I think also the arcade if you're doing the Diamond Casino heist. I think that way you can also teleport. But there are also a lot of other tricks, like you could teleport around the map with these like little player blips, or these TDM things right here, the blue ones. That's a whole different video. I don't know how to do that. I will leave a link in the description below to a video that will actually talk about how to do this, because I'm not the person to explain that. The most effective way to take out an Oppressor Mark II is either with a Combat MG and BST, the Up and Atomizer, if you're able to be precise, the musket, and the other method that's my most favorite is in a vehicle. You could use the Ruiner 2000, the Scramjet, the Vigilante, and I would also say the Toreador. Anything besides the Oppressor is much more effective and has more precision and speed with the rockets. So instead of using an Oppressor, you guys might want to also consider the Toreador or the vehicles I just talked about. The Scramjet is my personal favorite. You can move around a lot more quicker, but you do have the limited rockets. You get 20, then you have to return your vehicle to your storage and then request it again. But my personal favorite is this right here, fully loaded. Now this is one I was just about to get into. Basically, cops do not spawn, so whenever you kill a player, the cops aren't going to be coming after you. The best part about this mission, however, is you get a Secure Serve modified Ruiner 2000. You essentially get the fastest or the best car in the game. You get the best weaponized vehicle in the game with infinite rockets and a lot more faster, and it's a lot more harder to hit. It spawns really far away though. That's the only catch, but you always get a new one whenever somebody blows it up, since most people really don't understand most of these abilities and how they work. So BST doubles the amount of damage you take and the double amount of damage that you can also take. This is most effective in 1v2 situations. Regardless if they're not in a CEO or using BST or not, you want to be using BST against multiple players. It makes things a lot easier. You use less ammo. The other ability is the drop ammo. This is the most useless one, considering you can just go over to your inventory, go to ammo, and just buy the individual ammunition that you need for each gun. There's no reason to go to the gun store just to buy more ammo. Dropping armor is one of the most underrated things you can do in this game, because you take a lot less damage, especially stacked with BST. You can basically just keep replenishing your armor and it drops pretty much instantly compared to BST on last generation consoles. You will obviously know BST takes quite a bit of time to spawn in, but armor for some reason just takes less time. So if I hop out the car and I drop it right now, obviously it will be fast because I'm in an invite only, but you see it just drops like that, and there I have armor. BST in big player sessions does take a long time to spawn in. If you have to deal with a player who is ghosted to you, all you need to do is just phone Lester and put a bounty on him. It doesn't matter the amount of money that the bounty is, as long as it's a bounty, it will remove the ghoster from him. The ghoster will also be removed from the player if they end up going into a CEO. To kill players that are hiding in passive mode or in god mode, what you need to do is get a fire truck and use the nozzle and spray them with water and run them over. I think the other trick that you can use is the Conjali. If you just run over them, then they'll never be able to actually respawn and they just end up dying. Another trick you can use, the most fun way to do it, is if you're in a car. I'm not gonna mess up my Lambo for this. I'm gonna grab an NPC car to kind of demonstrate. If you're trying to kill a player who is in passive mode, what you need to do is make sure you're driving at a high enough speed where the game will register that as a kill. What you need to do is line it up and then just jump out of the car. What will end up happening is the game will just register that as a kill. You can't go into passive mode about probably a minute or two after killing a player, and killing yourself from the interaction menu isn't really the most effective way. The most effective ways to blow yourself up or to get out of engagements, die, is to just throw a sticky bomb at your feet or shoot a rocket. Another trick that you can do to see if someone's going to passive pop you, which is one of the things that tryhards love to do in this game, if you hold down your right stick, you can basically see right behind you. So if you just keep going forward and sprint, you can just look right behind you, and what you can do is just look behind you, press your left trigger, and just aim right behind you really quickly. So if somebody tries to get the upper hand on you, running but chasing you in passive mode, then that's one of the ways you can easily counter them. This is another one of my favorite tips that I use to kill players all the time, especially when they're hiding around cover. Whenever you have a gun out besides an explosive or a sniper, what you can do is press left on your D-pad and you throw a sticky bomb. Keep in mind you're only able to throw one, and that will be the one that you explode. This one is really effective for people who are hiding around corners. I'm going to get into some of the more dirty tricks that you guys can use to get kills on players. What some people do when they're really trying, they throw a couple stickies right here around the corner. They run right around the corner, the homing launcher, they shoot, and they blow themselves up, and they get a free easy kill. The grenade launcher trick is also really good for those who are hiding around corners, but then again, they can easily run around and just get like right behind you. With a few updates that came out for GTA, they added an option where you can heal yourself from your weapon wheel. All you really need to do is just hold down your left bumper and press up on your D-pad to eat a snack, or press the right stick in to apply armor. As I've said about the Secure Serve or the CEO armor method, that one is a lot more effective. Instead of just going to ammunition to buy armor, just drop it from your CEO and you'll have max armor. Plus for snacks, you can always just go to your facility and go to your office. There's a lot of places you can go to just get free snacks. Plus with the updates, they allow you to just grab snacks a lot more easier. But yeah, overall I think that's all I have for this video. If there's anything I did miss in regards to tips and tricks, what you could do to be a much better player of this game, please do let me know in the comment section below. There might be a couple that I missed, but other than that, I think I've pretty much covered everything you guys need to know.